In our last episode, we talked about assigning different energies to spirit and how it affects your body. We called it heads or tails. I hope you enjoy this next segment of Pure Light. In getting messages, you remember the movie Field of Dreams. It was when Kevin Costner was just in the field. He was getting these messages from Spirit. Spirit will always try and connect to you to most of the gifts that you have based on what you are resonating the most. With Kevin Costner in that movie, he was very auditory. A lot of the things that he did is the things that he heard. Spirit will select that medium to connect to you. So it could be by voice. Some people are more visual. They can see the color purple, or they can see visions. They'll connect to you by sight. Some people, their smell is very, very strong. I had one client years ago that had their attention to smell was very strong. They remembered their grandfather's pipe tobacco, and it was amphora whiskey flavor. It was this whiskey flavored tobacco. And every time that he smelt that, it was it's the same tobacco as what my grandfather used to use. Is that him? As well, a minute before you smelled that, was the room changed or anything? No. All of a sudden, I just smelled this. Is that my grandfather? I says, well, does anybody in the house smoke? No. Because the grandfather's standing right beside this person. I could feel it. And so it would be just like saying, if someone's standing beside you, is this the person, and you say the person's name, it's sort of a downer because they're right beside you and you could smell the tobacco. Of course it's him. So when I said, well, what do you think? He says, I think it's him. I says, you're right, it is. Does that make you scared? I says, no, I always loved my grandfather. He was always a kind man. Your spirit wouldn't choose to show the grandfather's body, and that happens too. At the foot of your bed, I hear stories a lot of times when people wake up at 3 a.m. and they look at the foot of their bed, and there is their grandmother or grandfather for like maybe 15 seconds, and just standing there. And the next morning they call me and they say, I saw my grandmother or saw my grandfather. And I says, okay, what'd you tell them? What did you say? He said, I didn't say anything. I was just in awe. Wow. And I says, okay, well, that happens again. There's a reason why they're connecting to you. But it didn't make them afraid. If they know you're afraid of showing their body, then they'll just do the smell thing, because it's very safe. You just have this smell, or you'll just have the back where your hair stand on end or something. And that's the way they'll communicate in the beginning. Like in my house, I'm totally open to anything that spirit does. That's just the rules, and that's just the level of okay that I have in my house. But it's not the same for everybody. Not everybody wants to be connected and have some of the things that are happening. When we look at this meditation, if you have had cases where you fall asleep, this is exactly what we're going to do in this session. So those people that usually fall asleep will be stellar in this particular exercise, because we're going to use our dreams to try and get some of the messages that you're looking for. The first thing we need to do is I want you to select a question that you don't know the answer to. Something that has happened in your life or is happening right now, and you haven't decided on the course of action. You don't know. Don't choose something that you sort of decided, like let's say if you already made an investment on a property and you're asking, should I make an investment on this property, because you won't get anything. Because spirit will know you've already made the decision, and because they won't make you feel silly by saying no, you shouldn't have invested. when they know you did, right? So they're not going to embarrass you. So you'll get nothing. They really can't give you a message without making you feel bad or guilty. Choose something that, it would be nice to know what to do in a certain situation. When we do this, we want to call in the higher realm. So it might sound something like this. The question I am about to ask, I want it to come from 100% pure white light. I want it to come from the highest realms and the same light that sent me here on this earth. I have a question, and then you can say your question. Okay? That way you've summoned these people in, they're right beside you, then no nuisance energy can sort of get in there. So whatever you're getting then will be much more, if I can say, reliable. And I want you to ask this question for 20 minutes. We're just going to go and fall asleep with this question. When you wake up, by that point you will have pieces of an answer. Keep in mind, when you are starting to get answers, you got to realize that it's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. If I have a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, one of the great things about jigsaws is that the picture of what it looks like is already contained in the game or in the puzzle. You know that it looks like it's from Switzerland. You see the mountains and the trees and the stream, okay? This is not like that. And there's no picture, but they'll give you 20 pieces, let's say. And you're supposed to figure out from 20 pieces, and you can't. So that's why we have to get the mind out of the way, because by trying to interpret or getting your mind involved to see what this piece of message is, really won't make a lot of benefit for you. However, if you have a piece of paper in front of you or a pen, you can write down what you saw, and over the coming days or weeks, you keep putting down the various things that all of a sudden, as a aha moment, comes to you, and you just write it down. I'll give you an example. If you get in this and you come to the end, you get a picture of a pickle. I'm being very out there. You get a pickle, a Band-Aid, and a turtle. Well, they would have nothing to do with each other when you look at it from that point. It seems so bizarre, you can't figure it out. So again, you don't want to figure it out. This is more pieces that need it. So all you need to do is every time you are relaxing, or every time you go to sleep, every time you go into a nice relaxing zone, you say, okay, I'm ready for another piece of this puzzle. And then in that, you'll get something else. And then you write it down, you get something else. As you put the pieces together, you'll start to have a collage of visions, could be colors, symbols. You might even start to get a shape of something, and you won't know what the shape is. If it is like a really weird shape, draw it on your page or in your journal. Actually draw it so you could see as best you can, because when you see it again in real life, you're going to be going to this picture that you did a few weeks ago, saying, hey, this is it. This is a piece to that. That's how Spirit usually connects to people in that way, is they'll give you that weeks ahead. Ask your question after you're done, and we'll see what kind of answers that you get. I'm not so concerned about what your answer is. I just want to make sure that you got an answer. That's really where we come in. Just getting any answer.
This is the end of Part 4, Pure Light. Now, if you're ready, the meditation segment is in Part 5. Enjoy.